This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello, 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 and welcome to this edition of the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today we're going to talk all Thanksgiving stuff. Greg's going to chop it up with Steven Reichland on some Thanksgiving. Second segment today, another one of my all-time favorite guests, Greg's mom. Greg and Connie Rempe are going to throw down a couple of Thanksgiving recipes for you as well. Let's get right to it. Here is Greg and Steven from November the 17th, 2015.
Have you ever considered suggesting something other than turkey for Thanksgiving?
I haven't. I'm a traditionalist, and not only am I a traditionalist with it, turkey should be the main meat of Thanksgiving, but I am not a partisan of spatchcocking turkey. I think a turkey should be whole, it should be beautiful, it should be the visual centerpiece as well as the gustatory centerpiece. I do smoke a turkey. I mean, actually, every year I cook a turkey away, and I've done that since I got out of college. But I've sort of settled into brining and then what I call smoke roasting, not straight smoking, because what happens if you straight smoke at a low temperature? Skin turns to rubber. But if you work at a higher temperature, you get a crisp skin and a wonderful smoky bird. So that's what I do. Today's blog, by the way, just went up on barbecuebible.com. 12 do's and don'ts with turkey.
All right, so head on over to barbecuebible.com to get the 12 do's and don'ts. We'll probably hit on those here during the segment here, but let me ask you this. When we talk about birds, you go into any grocery store, especially now, you see the huge sections of frozen butterballs and, you name it, turkeys that are out there. There is, within the community, I don't know if it's an argument or a continuing conversation of frozen birds, fresh birds, and I'm wondering what side do you weigh in on and why?
I'm a fresh bird guy because I believe fresh is always better than frozen. I'm a heritage turkey guy, which means one of those old-timey breeds that may not have the humongous breast, but has a more interesting flavor and texture. I'm an organic turkey guy. I do not buy a pre-injected turkey. I do not like to buy, I actually avoid pre-brine turkeys. I'd rather put my own brine in and not pay somebody else the cost of water, buying a turkey. But, basically, and I say this throughout the show, where your food comes from, how it's raised, matters as much as how you smoke it. And I'd rather spend a little more, eat a little less, or serve meat a little bit less, but no, I'm eating really good quality, really clean food.
You had mentioned that you're a big believer now in brining, and one of the other ongoing conversations when it comes to brining is that it has a tendency to make the meat mushy. So is that a process thing? Is that leaving it in the brine too long? Do you find that the texture of the meat can change when you're brining?
Well, sure it can change, but I would say the whole key to brining is brining at the right amount of time in the right saturation. I used to joke that sort of when people discover brining, it's a little bit like teenagers and sex. You want to do it all the time. And you can over brine. I mean, brine does sort of make food taste the same if you do it all the time the same way and you do it too much. But for me, I'm looking probably at about 16 to 18 hour brine. I'm at 3/4 of a cup of salt per gallon of water. It's not excessive. You still have plenty of chew to the meat. To me, it's lovely. It's not to say I haven't injected turkeys. I have. It's not to say that sometimes I haven't reached my hand under the skin, spread butter, and sliced truffles under the skin. I've done that. That produces a great turkey. But I just find myself coming back to the brining method again and again.
Do you flip and cook breasts down?
Do not.
Never at any point in the cook?
No.
You ever done that?
No, I haven't. Well, I mean, I'm sure I have at some point or other, but no, I Nah, I breast up. It's a smoke roast. I'm working about maybe 325 to 350. By the way, one thing I do is I cook a relatively small bird. I like a 12 to 14 pound bird. And if I need more than that, I rather cook two birds that size rather than one monster. I think you have more control.
Do you find, I'm going to completely diverge off of what I was going to ask you, but you said,
Sure.
big monster. And when I think big monster, I think Christmas, and then I think my mom, and I think prime rib. Do you believe in huge prime ribs, or do you believe in a similar philosophy of two, small to medium ones to feed the same amount of people versus a big honking 7-boner?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I'm doing a prime rib on a spit, because that's the way I like to do a prime rib.
Yep.
I don't think there's an enormous difference between a 7-bone or 2-3-bone or 2-4-bone, except that you lose two ends. But the wow power of doing a 7-bone and bringing out a whole 7-bone is it offsets that second end cut. So I think it's a little bit different. I guess maybe because it's more cylindrically shaped, but with a turkey, I mean, if you're at a 22-pound turkey, there's so much distance between the breast and the center.
That's a big bird. That's a big bird.
Yeah.
Stephen Reichlin joining me here on the show, barbecuebible.com, his website, projectsmoke.org as well, if you want to check it out. I was talking with my middle daughter when we were kind of setting up the makeshift studio while we're still under construction here, and she said, hey, does Paul, which is my father-in-law, does Paul eat that stuff inside the turkey that I see you pull out every once in a while? So let me ask you, are you a gizzard kind of guy? Will you eat gizzard? Do you make gizzard gravy, or do you just toss that stuff right out?
No, I smoke the heart, the gizzard, and the neck right along with the bird, and then use those ingredients to make my smoked turkey stock, which becomes soup, which actually becomes the jus or the gravy that I serve with the turkey. I also smoke the turkey liver, and that gets ground up with smoked hard-boiled eggs and caramelized onions. Becomes a turkey liver pate to serve before the Thanksgiving meal, and we always really love that.
When it comes to gravy or au jus or whatever, when we're talking specifically here about the Thanksgiving meal, do you tend to fare more on the thinner gravy that seems to be making more and more of a I don't know if it's a resurgence or a surgence or whatever you want to call it. I mean, when I grew up, it was kind of thick and kind of light brown and tasted really good. It was probably really unhealthy, but all of a sudden I'm starting to see a little bit more of a thinner version of this being quite the thing to do.
Yeah, I'm more a jus guy than a thick gravy guy.
Stephen, let me ask you, one of the other great things about Thanksgiving is everything else that isn't the turkey. So it's the sides, right? So what do you like traditionally, and perhaps what have you found that might be a little bit more outside the box that you really like?
Well, again, I'm a traditionalist. Stuffing, which I never actually stuff into the turkey because I think it's bad for both the turkey and the stuffing, but I cook it in a smoke roasted again in a cast iron skillet. What we're going to be doing this year, it's a recipe from the new book, the new Project Smoke book, and it's a mushroom bread pudding. So you saute exotic mushrooms, chestnuts, then they go in with bread cubes that have been smoked and toasted in a smoker. So you get a little extra smoky flavor, the usual caramelized onions, plenty of smoked turkey broth, and eggs. And that's smoke roasted in a smoker or in your grill. It's fantastic. So that'll be our stuffing. Cranberry sauce, I make one batch of traditional, always from scratch, always with whole cranberries. Try and keep the sugar to a minimum. I add ginger, lots of fresh ginger to it, and lemon zest, because I really like to pump it up. And then some years I'll do like a cranberry salsa, with jalapenos and cilantro. That's sort of a nod to kind of a modern approach. What else do? We do barbecued onions sometimes. We'll do smoked cream corn sometimes. I know our dessert this year is going to be the bourbon bacon apple crisp that we did on Project Smoke last year. That's a real family favorite. But I'm pretty traditional.
The other thing that I saw dessert-wise was these. They were like whole apples. It looks like you would core it out and you were stuffing like brown sugar and other. What is that all about? That looked tremendous.
Well, remember the baked apple? So you hollow it out, you stuff it with brown sugar and butter and ground up cookie crumbs or ground up nuts. So it's my version of a baked apple, except it's cooked in a smoker instead of the oven. So it acquires a smoky dimension. Smoke and fruit. I mean, smoke has this wonderful umami quality, and by that I mean it's not the sort of savory, salty flavor like you get with an umami food like mushrooms or seaweed, but it has the ability to take a familiar food and help and let you enjoy it from a different perspective. You smoke fruit, you're enjoying the sweetness, but there are other qualities to it that you wouldn't get if you're just eating fresh.
To put in your request for a future show, please contact John Solberg via email at johnjon@bbqcentralshow.com.
That was Steven Reichland chopping it up. Thanksgiving. Still more Thanksgiving talk to come. I know the show may have been dropping a little close to Thanksgiving, but not really. It's a few days away, and I'm sure a lot of you are still struggling with your game plan. So hopefully this will help you out. Something else that will help you out is if you follow the Big Barbecue Central Show on social media. It is at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show over on Facebook. Let's jump right into this second segment today. Here is Connie Rempe with Greg, again from November 17th, 2015.
All right, welcome back. You have found the Barbecue Central Show. Happy to have you aboard. By the way, maybe you never knew that in a week and 2 days from now, Thanksgiving is coming. Alert! Alert! I'm not kidding. You thought I was lying when I was talking about it with Steven Reichland. Well, guess what? I'm not. But I'm here to save your ass yet again, and here to help me do it. None other than the lady that helped save my ass a number of times as I was growing up as a Ute. Connie Rempe, my mommy, joins me on the phone. Mom, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking.
You're
And
welcome.
we're ready to go. I mean, we have a Thanksgiving coming up like I'm sure nobody can believe. This is going to be the best one ever for a number of people. And I'm like, we got to have you on to at least give, I mean, Steven, I don't know who Steven Reichland is, of course. But he just yammered on about whatever he was. I fell asleep halfway through because I was waiting, resting for your guidance. Because if somebody wants the kind of traditional, not pilgrim type Thanksgiving, but something you're used to that's going to make you feel like you're back home again. Maybe you're somewhere where you're not going to be able to get back home, or somebody that normally cooks it for you. This is something that's going to make people feel good in their stomach and in their hearts.
Absolutely.
All right. So,
yeah.
what do we
Thank
want to
you.
what do we want to talk about first? We want to start with dessert. Do we want to go to side, or we just want to go right to the bird?
I think we'll start with the bird,
Go ahead.
then work down to the sides and maybe the dessert. But this year, I'm doing a slightly different technique. I'm going to be covering the bird with a cheesecloth that's soaked in butter and wine.
What kind of cheese are you going to use? It's a joke. Sorry. Tough room.
It's the cloth of the cheese. Yes.
It was a joke. Come on. Come on. It's a joke. Good Lord.
Very funny. Very funny. Yes. But I usually do a big bird. No matter how many people I've got, I just like all the leftovers, and we eat turkey forever. So I'm getting around a 20-pound turkey. And
20 pounds?
I'm getting
Holy
I think
bluff.
probably the biggest one we used to have maybe was 26 pounds.
There's no such thing as a 26-pound turkey.
Believe me, you've eaten a 26-pound turkey. Yes, sir.
Oh, my Lord. That
Would
just
I lie
seems
to you?
insane. They're so big.
Well, you
Wow.
know, the bigger the better.
That's right. What are we talking about? All right. So 20-pound turkey this year, down from 26 pounds in years past. Wow, that's huge.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes, but I get the free-range organic turkey because,
you
why not?
and Steve Reichland.
Well, yeah. You
Right.
want a turkey that, until you murder it, has had a good life.
No horse shit I do. I want that thing to be miserable, and I'm going to eat it. Inject it with all the hormones and steroids. I need everything. I need all the help I can get, for crying out loud.
Oh, no, you don't. Got to be a purist.
All right, so cage-free, farm-fresh
so you're gonna
turkey.
Right.
Right.
You got that big bird. You're going to take it out of the refrigerator for, like an hour or so beforehand to kind of let it take the chill off.
Yep.
And give them a nice little rinse, pat them dry. And you're going to preheat the oven to 450 degrees. And then I'm taking a bottle of wine and 3 sticks of butter. Very decadent right there. Melt it together, and you're going to fold your cheesecloth up so it's kind of like a 17-inch square with 4 layers.
Yeah.
And you're going to put it right in that butter wine mixture and just leave it there to soak. You get your bird. You're going to put it on a roasting rack in your pan. Rub it all with butter, salt and pepper the cavity, and fill it with whatever stuffing you want. Then you're going to take tuck the little wings underneath it, tie up some little legs, and you're going to put that exactly.
Yep.
Yes. You're going to take the cheesecloth out of the butter mixture, kind of not really wring it out, but just so you're not dripping all over the place. Put it on top of the bird, cover it all up, maybe halfway down the sides, and put it in the oven for about a half an hour. And then you're going to turn down the oven till 350 degrees, basting it, then turn it back down. You're going to roast it for about another 2.5 hours, basting every 30 minutes. And then you're going to, after 3 hours in the oven, you're going to take that cheesecloth off carefully. And it's supposed to give you a really mahogany kind of texture on the outside, nice coated dark brown deliciousness. You take off the cheesecake. You're going to rotate the pan in the oven so it browns evenly, front to back. And after about the 4th hour, you're going to check the temperature for doneness. Now, when I first sent this off to you, I said check it for doneness at 180 degrees, which I must say, I had a cold at the time and was feeling sick and thought, oh, what have I done? Because you're going to want to take it out at about 165 degrees so you didn't overcook that sucker. But so at about 165 degrees, you want to take it out of the oven, let it rest for a good hour. Half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, because you're then going to do the rest of your sides in the oven. And that's pretty much it for the turkey.
All right, so you know that the barbecue people in this chat room, turkey in the oven, gross. So let me tell you, screw you people. This is my mom you're talking about, so you can beat it. You're disinvited from the show. All right, I handled them for you, Mom. I handled them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Outrageous.
Yes.
I've never seen such drivel and malfeasance in my chat room before. I'm about ready to shut it down.
Well, not everybody, for those few people that don't want to smoke it or, deep fry it.
They can eat McDonald's and screw off is what they can do. Outrageous. I'm not going to have to talk to my mother like that. All right, so...
That's right. Thank you.
So this is the first time with a cheesecloth ever.
Right. Wow. So I'll have to let you know how it turns out in the end.
Well, you know what happens if Dad doesn't like it, he starts hitting. So watch out.
Yeah.
Put on the armor.
That's true. You never know.
All right.
Violent.
That's right. So now here's something with the sides. Pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon. Now, allow me to go back in my memory banks of things that you have never made ever when I was around, and this has to top the list. Pan-roasted Brussels. I don't think I've ever saw a Brussels sprout in my life. Ever.
You're right.
I know it.
Never.
What is going on?
Because not one of you children would have eaten a Brussels sprout.
Well,
But now
how do you know that?
I'm pretty sure I know
I
that.
ate cream-dried beef on toast, and it was delicious.
That is not a Brussels sprout.
That's
yes.
what...
cream-dried beef on toast is delicious.
I know. I just said that. I loved it.
I know.
That should
Me
be
too.
that should be
Yeah,
that
but
should be
you were the only one.
Yeah, but that should be Thanksgiving
just
dinner.
you and me.
Yeah, that should be Thanksgiving
That
dinner.
would be
Cream
okay.
dried beef. That's a quick cleanup too, by the way.
Would be okay with me.
All right,
Yes.
so talk to me about
Yep.
these Brussels sprouts.
Okay, this is very easy, and it has bacon in it, so you would probably like that.
All right.
But you're just taking your Brussels sprouts, your fresh Brussels sprouts,
Yeah.
cut them in half. You're going to chop up a half an onion, and to begin with, you're going to take about 4 strips of bacon, cook them until they're crispy, and then you're going to crumble them up. And in that same pan that you have cooked the bacon, you're going to add to that bacon fat a couple tablespoons of butter. So you're going to add a little fat to the fat.
Yeah.
And put the onions and the Brussels sprouts back in the pan and saute it for about 8 to 10 minutes. And add a little salt and pepper, and you're done. You can just cover it up, keep them warm. It's something that doesn't have to go in the oven, so you have more room in the oven for other side dishes. But that's really good. It's very tasty. You're going to put in that crumbled bacon on the top and mix it all up, and it's really good.
Now, by 4 strips of bacon, you mean like 1.5 pounds, right?
Well, at least, yeah.
Oh, my.
The more bacon, the better.
The more bacon, the better. That's right. For everyday life and in the pan-roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon. All right, so easy enough on the side dish.
And there you have it. There's a lot more in this show. Head over to the bbqcentralshow.com. There's a link in the show notes that will take you to the complete episode. If you want to hear the rest of Steven's thoughts or Connie's recipes, make sure you check that out. In the meantime, with the holiday right around the corner, here's to enjoying the company of good friends and family, good food, wishing you successful cooks for the holiday. And until next time, on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.